So everyone, I want to thank you everyone for being here today. My name is John Hazel. I'm one of the account executives here at Revelwood. I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues, Ben and Corey from Fluence. Will be showing you a little bit of Fluence today in a few moments. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to give you an idea of what to expect today. I'm aware that some of you may be here because you have an active initiative to get into a consolidation tool, and some of you might just be here just because you're eager to learn or a little bit curious what the market has to offer. Either way, we'd greatly appreciate you taking 15 minutes with us in the next few days. Just have a quick chat and see what your current challenges are, and if you have any feedback and whether resources that we can provide for you to follow up with. An important note for today's demo is it's meant to really give you a glimpse into what Fluence can do, and we should be finished in about 30 minutes. And during that time, everyone will be on mute. But certainly, if you have a question, there's a Q&A button down at the bottom. So, please fire it away. And if we can respond, awesome. And we'll try to get to it. If not, we'll make sure we get back to you via email and address any of your questions here. And then, Corey, I don't know if you can advance a little bit because I haven't seen into the next slide. Beautiful. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about Revelwood. You're going to meet the Fluence team. Then we're going to hop in to the demonstration and then wrap up, with some suggested next steps. But again, this is the agenda, what to expect. But onto the slide about Revelwood. Just some background on us. We've had over 25 years of experience and made up of a diverse team of certified experienced consultants that bring decades of financial operations and systems know-how. Revelwood helps finance organizations close, consolidate, plan, monitor, and analyze business performance. As experts for the Office of Finance, we partner with the best-in-breed solutions to help businesses achieve their full potential. So Revelwood is an expert in the FP&A space, and Fluence is an expert in the consolidation space. Hence, a partnership made a ton of sense for us to get together. And then I did mention we've been around for about 25 years, so you can kind of see a handful of the clients here that we've helped. Certainly over 500 today. It keeps growing, so very excited, and maybe we'll have you as one of them. And now I'm gonna hand the reins over to Corey so we can talk to you a little bit about Fluence.
All right, perfect. Thanks, John, and thank you to the Revelwood team for having Ben and I here today. We're happy and excited to be joining you, and everyone, thanks for joining the webinar to kind of learn a little bit more about Fluence and how we can kind of pair a great consolidation engine alongside your FP&A choice, and how those two really do need to work cohesively together to be successful for your operation. So first, let's introduce you a little bit to Fluence. So Fluence has actually grown quite rapidly in the last 4 years. We have successfully acquired a few organizations, bringing in a couple of hundred customers within our worldwide customer base. Now, our focus as a company was always around mid-market consolidations, kind of the high growth organizations, anywhere up to a couple of $1 billion. These are the ones that are typically underserviced, and we'll talk to that in a few minutes. But we've successfully been able to bring on 75 partners, great partners like Revelwood, who have years of experience deploying CPM and FP&A solutions, and saw value and a gap for customers, hopefully like yourselves, right, to focus on a mid-market kind of consolidation opportunity. Now, expert recognition. We've received great feedback over the years that there was a gap in the market, and we'll talk to that. I'd encourage you to go look at some of the BPM partner reports that have been tracking us for a few years. We're really happy to announce on the Dresner report that came out recently, we were tied for #1 with a couple of those legacy vendors that we'll chat about for overall kind of feature functionality. So we've grown quickly, we've grown rapidly, and it's really a core focus on functionality and customer satisfaction. So I did mention we have a history, and Ben, who's going to be taking us through the demo here, has got a long history in consolidations. It's really in our DNA. We have a lot of the management team, the development team, and our services teams, and our partners that we work alongside that have 20+ years in experience working in line roles, right, in your shoes, trying to solve your problems. So we have a good appreciation for those complexities, we've taken that passion and really said, how can we do a better job with the software? How can we make it easier for you to manage and maintain and get more out of it for the business operations, right? And that's really what brought us together to create the application and some of the value points we'll talk to today. So with that focus, we really want to talk about the kind of the modern finance world, right? Why won't some of those old legacy tools that have worked for years, why aren't they servicing your needs today? Why is it? It's because maybe things are pivoting and changing too rapidly, right? So what we want to do is talk to kind of that evolution of consolidation. So, we can start here on consolidation 1.0, and some of us might be using some of these tools still today. They're actually good tools. They're just a little outdated. Typically, they're on-premise tools, right? They have some basic consolidation. You have to customize them a lot to kind of get them to do what you want. You might be kind of going offline and doing some work in another tool like Excel. Normally, it was heavily IT owned. So finance is really struggling. They have no control, right? And those are some of those tools that we all kind of started out with using. There was this next evolution that came in, we'll call it kind of consolidation 2.0. This is when cloud and maybe a hybrid version of kind of on-prem and cloud, right? Now your consolidation capabilities and reporting, well, you're getting a little bit better. They're solving more problems. But typically we find they're very heavy IT intensive projects, big projects. We're talking 12 months or more. Businesses can't take that long. They can't function like that. They have to be able to move quickly and pivot, right? If you acquire a company, divest a company, you got to go fast, right, to make use for the organization. So a lot of these ones were comprised of two different groups. If you look at the bottom, you've got this kind of component suite of CPM. Now, these are planning tools that maybe were not necessarily, focused on consolidation, right? And with us, we want to say that those tools were kind of entry level aggregation, right? They weren't really solving complex consolidation problems. Above that, you've got more consolidation first, which were solving consolidation only, but didn't kind of move down into FP&A. So, it wasn't the happy medium of either you had to pick a tool that did consol or you had to pick a tool that did budgeting, right? And in neither one were doing a really good job. With consolidation here, in 3.0, what we find is Fluence Technologies was built as a modern cloud, right? Finance owned, out of the box, right, capability. So we pre-built and productized most of the things that had to be configured in some of those legacy tools. So our projects are much more rapid. We offer all the functionality that will help you scale from a $100 million organization to a multi-billion-dollar organization through all of your growth. So we're future-proofing, right, as we roll out. And we're working with partners like Revelwood to help deliver that kind of next generation of consolidations. Now, with our approach, we want to kind of talk to those main key points. You've heard me say it is that we will have this as a finance-owned product, right? You will learn and you can maintain it, you can deploy it. You don't need a heavy ongoing services base. That's key. We say no black box, no coding, right? What we mean is we've productized things. CTA, productized. Intercompany, productized. Things that had to be really set up and coded in prior legacy tools. Those are all out of the box, documented, ready to go, configurable by you. And that's why we can deploy so quickly, right, with the help of our partners. But we do know where our swim lane is. We want to focus on kind of that close to report. So if you look at our bottom half of our spectrum here, how we service the Office of Finance, we focus on consolidation, account reconciliation, our reporting, the narrative reporting, disclosure reporting, ESG reporting, and some of that more analysis and dashboard within the report. All of those key areas around the accounting team and the finance group. But then we partner, right, with people like Revelwood, and they recommend certain planning products that are a best of breed FP&A planning product. So we know that we want, the customer to be as happy as they can, where they pick their planning tool of choice and they pick their consolidation tool of choice, and they really get the best of both worlds. And it's really through partners like Revelwood with their 25 plus years of experience and hundreds of deployments that they can help you make those decisions. So let's kind of stop and talk a little bit about that FP&A versus consolidation, right? Our real belief is these are two core different needs, right? We know our FP&A team may be heavy Excel users sometimes, maybe not, but that's a continuous process. They're going on for forecasting, they're budgeting for 3 months, they're doing a bunch of variance analysis. It's quite usually dispersed across the organization. They could be collecting from hundreds of people. But then if you pivot, and look at the accounting side, that's more of a science versus an art, right? Where that is very rules-based, right? We know this is financial or disclosure reporting. It has to be a certain way. They have to follow those rules. It's also a much smaller group. And that process is running from month to month and quarterly, right? A very structured environment there. So you have that FP&A art, which is a little bit flexible. You need something that can be personalized to your business. And then you have that kind of science and structure and rule, right? The tale of kind of the two perspectives, right? Our whole point is that you each have challenges, and typically those challenges don't line up, right? The FP&A team has a certain cycle, right? The accounting team has a different cycle. And if you had to pick one tool, right? A lot of the legacy tools I was talking about that say they can solve this in a single application, they actually can't. There's typically multiple databases and there's different interfaces and data has to move back and forth. And wait a minute, the FP&A team's doing something, so the accounting team can't because the system's kind of busy, or, there's struggles, there's complexities there, really. And that kind of brings us to this, why compromise, right? Why make a decision, right, on two distinct functions, right? Science and art, FP&A and accounting. Why choose something that isn't going to serve each of your unique needs and grow with you as those needs change? And that's really brings us to this kind of Revelwood and Fluence, no compromise approach, right? Is how do we give you something that is a seamless, future-proof solution? So, on the Revelwood side, they're going to lean into that best of breed planning as well. They're going to say, we're going to work with Workday or IBM or maybe another partner for planning to give you that company-wide planning, the FP&A, looking forward and forecasting, right? And that's going to serve the needs of your business perfectly now and into the future, right? But on that same aspect, we lean towards that no compromise, right? Now we're going to look at the Fluence system from that modern consolidation and close to make sure it's servicing those needs, right, on an ongoing basis. And it's really, through partners like Revelwood that kind of bring this together for you, the customer, right? And then we marry that with a simple integration, but both sides can scale, they're future-proof, there's no compromises, and it serves their business purposes perfectly now and for years to come. And that's really the goal. We want to give you value. So at that point, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and stop, and I'm going to introduce my colleague, Ben Rettel, and he's going to go ahead and take us through a sneak preview of what Fluence's software looks like.
Okay, thanks, Corey. And I'll be on with for the next, 10 minutes to go through a quick overview, really, from the platform perspective, what we offer. So we are cloud-based. When we first go into Fluence, we are browser agnostic. So, no issues from different browsers. We're going to give you the flexibility really to understand where you are in your particular process. So we don't just cover consolidation. We also work with organizations around account reconciliation. So that's really pre-consolidation. We also have organizations that really look at disclosure reporting. So when you think about not just your, producing your financial statements, the narrative reporting that goes alongside that, whether you are, reporting from a 10Q, 10K basis from the US or maybe other regulatory standard, we can help you bring not just together the numbers, but also the narrative that goes with that. So we are really surrounding that office of the CFO, the controller, and really giving them what they need from a full reporting perspective. So when we first come into Fluence, you're going to be faced with a number of different options that you can go to. We've got a number of different processes here. These processes could be your month-end close. It could be your account reconciliation. It could be your flash reporting. We break things down into what we call a process-driven workflow. So we're not going to be that legacy, 1.0, 2.0 kind of where you're going to go to menus to try and hunt and peck what to do next. We're going to give you that guided approach to the platform. So everything you see here is configured, no coding, no scripting. Everything is defined from the finance business unit user's perspective. So this first home screen really gives us a launch pad into all the different processes I'm involved in. You can see my little picture here. It also gives you a launch pad into sharing information amongst your teams, whether that's internal information around your closed calendar, maybe new disclosure notes, ability to share information about you as an organization. You can have all of this to be configured to your requirements. In the middle here are each of those processes. So we're going to focus on consolidation. You'll see in here we have a number of tasks. These are defined by you as an organization. We don't tell you what your workflow is. You decide what the workflow is, and then we will help you, and you can design that process and everything that goes into that. So this is very flexible from that perspective. So this is just a high level of those different items. We'll come back into this in a moment. What we also have along the top is different tabs that give us access into More things around consolidations. You'll see here those items that we saw a moment ago in that workflow list. You'll also see that broken out in a diagrammatic form. So we don't just ask you to guess what that process is. We're going to give you that very visual aspect to understand where you are in the process, where you're going, what's completed, what needs to be completed, and where you're finishing up on that cycle. So everything is really built around that user-defined workflow process. Not just from the high level, but breaking that down into sub-processes, whether you're bringing data in from your subsystems, reviewing intercompany, reviewing your cash flow. All of these things, as Corey mentioned, are out of the box configured, hence why we can do very rapid implementations. One of the other methods we have built in is the ability for that modern communication. So no longer do you just have to send emails and wait for someone. You can have messages go out directly from Slack, Teams, whatever that instant messaging platform is. We have that integration, so you don't have to pick up the phone, send emails externally from the system. Everything is driven from the platform, incorporating emails and report books if you want to. So we think about this from a very workflow, task-driven, user-defined process. We know that consolidation isn't something that users are in every day of the week, every day of the month. So we want something that's going to guide those users through the process from that month-end cycle. Now, before I dive into some of our unique qualities, we have along the top a number of different reports that you have access to. So we don't just have the consolidation, and we don't just have the narrative reporting, which I'll flash up a quick report on in a moment. We also give you the flexibility to report on information across different financial standards, whether that's a profit and loss report, whether that's a profit and loss with comments. We give you that from a dashboard perspective that you can see here through our web browser. All of our reports are authored once in Excel. You can see those and visualize those through the web. We also give you mobile capabilities as well through iOS or Android-based devices. So all of these reports, you're not just looking at actual data. So to Corey's point about different planning vendors, we can bring in that budget, we can bring in that forecast, do like-for-like comparisons. We're not just looking at information from the top level. You can drill in, run the report and see this for San Francisco. You can see this from a multi-currency. So we also support that full multi-currency perspective from the consolidation. Everyone always asks me, can you do drill up? Can you do drill down? Absolutely. So our reporting isn't just instantaneously moving between Excel and the web. I can take my reports and I can download them and have them fully interactive in Excel as well. I have all of that interactivity in the web from the starting point. So I can come into here and I can double click on net income and it will drill me down through the hierarchy. I can drill out on 2021. I can drag and drop my information from the header down into my rows, into my columns. So we're going to give you that full interactivity from a reporting perspective. I don't need to be a report writing guru. If I've got these skills in Excel, I can create the reports, have them published to the web, have them shared out amongst my team. So before I dive into a couple of the additional consolidation features I like to highlight, all of that reporting gives us the ability to produce your overall financial statements, whether those are in Word, whether those are in PowerPoint, whether this is a 10Q, a 10K, and 8K. We're going to give you the ability not just to produce your consolidation, not just to produce your nice P&L and balance sheet reports, but to be able to link all of those results into a working, moving document. So when you see these numbers that have got boxes around them, all of these numbers are linked directly into Fluence. So we change a revenue number, our report will automatically update. Our charts will update, our dates will update when we roll forward, our narrative will update. So if something moves from down to up, increase, decrease, growth, decline, we control all of that within the report. So we're giving you that end-to-end reporting and consolidation platform. Everything that you see with the box is linked, and this will give you that repeatable report, whether it's PowerPoint, whether that's Word, giving you that ability then to be a lot more efficient, a lot quicker, and a lot more rapid in your time to value from the solution. So those are just a couple of items that I like highlighting from a reporting perspective. Now, when you think about the consolidation, Corey's kind of mentioned that time to value. Let's look at administration. I won't go through everything about the application. We have what we determine as required for any consolidation, 10 standard dimensions. You can extend beyond that. So if a dimension is like an entity list, it's an account list, it's a scenario, actuals, budgets, forecast. We have unlimited dimensionality within the platform. However, we recommend for any consolidation, you would have to have 10 standard dimensions. And I'll highlight a couple of those critical ones that every consolidation system should have. So when we talk about owned by finance, we talk about things like ownership. You know, obviously things like currency conversion, moving from average rates to closing rates to opening exchange rates, historic rates. All of that is maintained and configured within the platform. You don't need to code scripts if you are in multi-currency. We have all of those standards built in, as well as all of the things around the translation adjustment, not just your translation adjustment in your equity section, but across the whole of the balance sheet. Now, a couple of those concepts I can demo here. So we have kind of the ownership structure. We're looking at just the USA actual scenario. I could look at this for my total group, my European group, if I wanted to, but this shows out of the box that we have not just an entity that's owned by one parent, but we have a cross-holding, an entity that's owned by two different parents in the same hierarchy. We have equity elimination, pickup, proportional 50-50. All of this is out of the box. We can account for those entities, not just where they eliminate within their subgroups, but also when they get to the top group in New York's example, the ability then to see that go to an NCI, a minority calculation. So all of this is out of the box. We surface all of that consolidation functionality through the lens of Excel. Nothing is stored in Excel. Everything is in the cloud, and we pull and push from the cloud when changes are made. We also have that tracked over time, so ownership changes over time. You want to be able to see the historical perspective, the future perspective. We have all of that within the platform out of the box. So as soon as you complete something, I just come into here and I'm going to hit submit. This will go ahead and submit a number of items. We've already looked at reports. I won't go through all of the different reports I have. So I can come into here and just say, yep, I want to complete all of my reports. So that will go ahead and then advance through my different workflow steps. So once you complete something, it doesn't just go to the top. It will come to the bottom when that refreshes. I can just do a manual refresh and you'll see those items come to the bottom and new tasks have become available. So everything is driven from that workflow, configured workflow that you design as an organization. We can import data from source systems. We have the full mapping capability. All of that is built into the application. We can do direct connectors into source systems through APIs. We can also do, you know, very simplistic, maybe phase one is you bring in an extract file, an Excel file. We can bring that in immediately into the application. So we have all of those processes built out within the platform. One of the areas I will highlight is not just the ability to collect subsidiary information, but the ability to track things through journals. So we know that organizations don't just have their base data coming in. They may need to adjust for IFRS GAAP standards. We never ever adjust that trial balance. We provide through our audit dimension, which is critical, the ability to make those adjustments through different members and have that fully available. What we also provide is the flexibility to pull in statistical data. So things like headcount information, volume analysis, if you're, you know, making parts and you want to, you know, track your revenue by product and the volume analysis, we have all of that built into the platform as well. So when you think about kind of the process, we're not just asking you to import all of your data from your subsidiary systems. We're giving you the flexibility to ultimately pull that data and have all of that data through statistical inputs as well. Now, a couple of the other processes that I like highlighting, and one of those key ones is around the cash flow. We know that many organizations are going to be pulling forward their balance sheet, pulling forward their income statement. We understand that cash flow can be a very manual process. So we look to automate that within the platform, not just automation above, you know, the movement between your opening and closing. We have a critical dimension called the movement dimension, and the movement dimension, in essence, gives you the flexibility to track from your opening position all the way to your ending position. So all the numbers appearing in this column here are being driven from the income statement and balance sheet. I never say 100% because customers always want the flexibility to make the adjustments to the cash flow. So with our audit dimension, you can make those adjustments before adjustment, after the adjustment. And just to finish this off, and really, I'm going to hand back to Corey after this one section here, is just to show you the breadth of really the functionality we provide. It's not just producing your cash flow, But what sits behind the cash flow is really the logic behind that. So if I look at validations here, when you think about bringing in your data, does my balance sheet balance? Does my net income for my P&L validate with my net gain loss that I'm seeing in the equity section of my balance sheet? All of that needs to be true to be able to pass through all of those controls and checks. So you can see we have those standard controls built into the platform. Now, when you think about your cash flow, the movement dimension, and this is that critical area, every consolidation system should be able to break out from the opening to the closing, calculate your variation, book where you're going to do those acquisitions directly in the platform, and have these numbers feed directly into the cash flow, not just in local currency, but if I change this now, and I'm going to go and say I want to see this in euros, you want to be able to track the currency impact going from opening exchange rates, average exchange rates back in line with our ending exchange rate. So all of these CTAs are bringing this back in line with the closing rate, this number back in line with the closing rate, all through true auditability within the platform. So I've just highlighted a couple of things today. Normally I spend an hour and a half doing my demonstration, but I just wanted to highlight some of the key features, some of the key benefits that we provide from that platform perspective. We'd love to spend more time with you going through the demonstration, but I got to hand back to Corey now to finish up and go through a couple of items just as some roundups. So thank you, Corey.
All right, great. Thank you, Ben. And let's move on to the last closing slides. But thanks for showing everyone kind of that idea, the modern interface. It's got a friendly Excel look and feel, but remember, it's all productized. It deploys literally in months, not a year-long or over a year-long project. So it really is going to accelerate the value proposition to the organization. So let's go ahead and talk to two last slides here. One, we've got some great customer success stories, especially for the customers that are moving from kind of an Excel-only centric solution. And you know what? There's billion-dollar companies still running in Excel. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you've outgrown it. You're struggling. You're hitting those challenges, right? And we've moved them over, and we've seen huge improvements, right? By providing integration of data sources, going through the workflows, providing auditability, right? Being able to look to your auditors and be able to say, here's exactly, and get the confidence of how those numbers are coming together. Detail things like CTA and intercompany that Ben went through, right? Big struggle items are kind of simplified with Fluence. So we're really happy with our customers. We're hoping, one day alongside Revelwood, some of the people today might become one of them. I'll pass it back to John to close.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone saw how powerful, flexible, and especially how easy Fluence is to use and got a glimpse of that. If you need more, we have plenty of resources we can make available to you, such as a one-on-one demonstration that speaks more to your needs. Just let us know what makes sense for you when we follow up in our meeting, or reach out to me directly. That's perfectly fine. You can find me Jay Hazel, the double L's, at revelwood.com, and happy to set up a meeting. We're happy to help you. And again, thanks again everyone for attending. And please expect for one of my colleagues to reach out to schedule a 15-minute follow-up call, just kind of hear your feedback and things that you might need.